The Insured Zone. The Insured Zone with Bet Insured.
And Slot has entered into the history books of also slotting himself into the list of managers who has won the Premier League, and doing so, he won it in his first season in the club. And I want to say big congratulations to all Liverpool fans. Of course, they are the champions of the 2024-2025 English Premier League season. Welcome to another interesting episode of the Insured Zone podcast, brought to you by Bet Insured, the biggest and the most reliable sport prediction platform in the world. I am FM Karik, and I will be doing it alone. The suspect is in the building. Kaka is right beside me. Kaka, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful, brother. You would never walk alone.
Of course, we are even walking alone. Liverpool has won the EPL this season. And Slaughter, of course, entering into the history books, the 20th league title for the club.
Yeah, big congratulations to all Liverpool fans all over the world. I mean, it's never easy to get over the line. I mean, especially the English Premier League. It's one of the toughest league to win in the world. And yeah, doing it in your first season is even more impressive. I mean, it joins an elite list. I mean, talking of Jose Mourinho, Manuel Pellegrini, Carlo Ancelotti of this world. I mean, congratulations to him and to all Liverpool fans.
Definitely congratulations to Ancelotti and Liverpool, and of course, congratulations to everyone who have been following us and winning from our predictions. And now straight to the games that will be going down this weekend. We will be checking out the games. Of course, there's still a lot to play for in the league, but then I do like share, subscribe, and also put on the notification button to see whenever we drop new content on this platform. Now straight to the Etihad Stadium. Of course, I said that there is still a lot to play for. Of course, 4 games remaining in the Premier League, but then the first game I will be talking about, like I said, at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester City will be at home to host Wolverhampton Wanderers. Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wolverhampton Wanderers placed in 13th spot, of course, with 41 points, and Manchester City in 4th with 61 points. A lot to still play for. But then City have made it to the final of the FA Cup. Do you think the momentum of the win against Nottingham Forest will propel them into this game against Wolverhampton?
Yeah, definitely. You expect that to happen. Actually, Manchester City picked up form at the right time. I mean, you look at their abysmal form probably in the last 2-3 months, and probably people feel this might be their worst season ever. And looking at this, probably getting the Champions League spot and eventually probably winning the FA Cup, I mean, that might probably prove to be a successful season than more clubs than you can even imagine, you know. So yeah, coming into this one, there's still a lot to play for. Probably the league is wrapped up, the relegation battle is wrapped up as well. But the fight for Europe is intense. I mean, it's very interesting. And with 4 games left, and Manchester City in wonderful form at the moment, and probably Wolves having been safe and having not much to play for, you expect Manchester City to get it.
But then, to really chip this in, during Easter, there were rumors that Pep Guardiola and his wife spent Easter together.
Yeah,
I
saw the news.
The magic.
I saw the news as well. I mean, it's never. I mean, truth being told, it's never easy to go through a divorce process, and someone you spent probably a chunk of your life with. I mean, if that is a spark, I hope she stays with him forever.
Of course, we hope she stays with him forever, and hopefully his team will keep getting the results. And now, guys, let's check the prediction for the game between Manchester City and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now straight to the Emirates, where another game will be going down. Of course, the EPL runners-up, a team that really tried, but hey, like someone said, he said Arsenal is like a Netflix. You only wait to see what will happen next season. Bournemouth will be taking a trip to Arsenal. Arsenal look like a team that has sealed the second spot already. Not much to play for, but then Bournemouth at the last game against Manchester United, they actually played very well. Of course, held Manchester United despite going 1-man down to a 1-1 draw against Arsenal. Do you think they can still go on to really get something out of this game?
With Arsenal still in the Champions League, I mean, I think they'll probably do a lot of rotation, ahead of their Champions League match against PSG. So
which is very crucial.
It's very crucial. The second spot is more or less like wrapped up. I mean, well, they probably try again next season. Is that not the third bit of second position for Arsenal? I mean, it's. I wish them luck.
They look like they are knocking on the door to win the league.
Yeah, they do. I mean, but there's something about mentality, and it's you just have to like grind. If you want to fight for the English Premier League, you really have to have what it takes. And I think in the past 3 seasons that they've come second, I think they've really not had what it takes, and I hope they eventually get that. But coming into this one against Bournemouth, you fancy Arsenal. I mean, playing at the Emirates. Then with the Champions League coming up, just give Bournemouth a little edge. Still having to fight for Europe as well.
Of course. They're currently in 10th position.
Exactly. I mean, and with the look of things, you would probably have about 8 to 9 teams from England going to Europe this season. So yeah, probably a draw probably suits this one.
Of course, he said a draw probably suits this one, but then expect the French players to play mostly for Arsenal. Let's get to see the prediction for Arsenal versus Bournemouth. And guys, straight to the big one for the weekend. Could have been very crucial. Say at this point, it is less consequential. Of course, it is less crucial. I mean, of course, Liverpool, the champions, will be going to Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea. Chelsea and Enzo Maresca, of course, will be hosting the champions of the league. But then Chelsea, the team that has not really been consistent, but then in recent weeks, they've been grinding the results, playing against tough teams like Everton, of course, getting the win. Now against Liverpool, who has actually nothing to play for. Do you think Chelsea will go on the way to grab the 3 points? Because they are the ones that look like that they need more. They need the game more than Liverpool.
Yeah, Chelsea would probably hope Liverpool turn up to the game drunk from the celebration from winning the Premier League. Yeah, like you said, Chelsea needs this more than anything. If they really want to seal their spot, because their remaining matches are tough as it gets. I mean, they host Liverpool and they host Manchester United and they go away to Nottingham and they away to Newcastle. I mean, those are really tough, and those ones as well. Aside Manchester United, they're fighting for space for a spot in Europe. So you actually find Chelsea in this one. I mean, Liverpool still probably have their records. They probably the points
for pride.
I mean, the points record that they probably wants to get. So at the end of the day, I mean, well, if Chelsea does not get this one, it might be really difficult to get it into the Champions League spot. But at the end of the day, I mean, probably a draw. I actually see this ending in a draw.
Of course, a tough game for Chelsea against the champions. Guys, let's see our prediction for this game. Chelsea versus Liverpool. On to the next, guys. Brentford will be at home to host Manchester United, a team that is having the worst season of their life. Ruben Amorim is the only manager that came into a new club and didn't really have a bounce all over Europe. Other new managers really had the new manager bounce, of course, getting the result. But then it has been a difficult task for Ruben Amorim. Last time out, they played out a 1-1 draw, of course, against Bournemouth, and against the Brentford side that have Bueno and Wissa in attack. Can Manchester United defense really be able to hold these two players down?
I don't think so. I think at this point, you look at the crop of players in Manchester United and you actually wonder why they are struggling so much. I mean, we've said it over and over again. I mean, even this is still Manchester United, even though you might not have your players. I mean, but 21 points in 21 games is abysmal for any manager of Manchester United's caliber. I mean, it's terrible. And I sincerely hope they eventually win the Europa League, because if they don't, I mean, you can say this is probably the worst season in the history of Manchester United. But I mean, coming into this one, Brentford is a tough nut to crack for any team any day. So yeah, and which Manchester United probably putting all their energy in Europe at this point. You fancy Brentford in this one?
So you fancy Brentford in this one, guys? Let's see our prediction for this game between Brentford and Manchester United. Now, guys, are on to a game that would have been, a tough one. It's a London play, a London derby, actually, a game between West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur. But interesting thing is these two teams follow themselves on the log. West Ham plays the 16th and Tottenham 17th on the log. I tell you sincerely, this could have been a tough game, but then for the two teams, look at their position on the log. And how do you think they will both fare in this game? Because Postecoglou could really is almost likely leaving the club at the end of the season.
You wouldn't blame Tottenham if he does leave. I mean, it's just like Manchester United. I mean, you look at the position of Tottenham on the table and you just wonder how. And, you could attribute a lot to injuries and all of that. But at the same time, I mean, being that low on the log is really terrible with the crop of players. I mean, and the support he got, in the summer. But yeah, coming into this one, it's probably like a dead rubber game. But at the end of the day, it is still a London derby.
But then Tottenham have a game in Europe.
Exactly. You look forward to them, which might prove like their only route, to Europe as well as Manchester United. So coming into this one, you probably fancy, Tottenham. You fancy them because West Ham, on the other hand, have actually been as terrible as they've been. Potter has found it difficult to stamp his ground on the West Ham team. So yeah, I think Tottenham wins this one.
Of course, Tottenham might win this one. Guys, will Potter be able to really mold this West Ham team to defeat Tottenham in this one? Let's get to see our prediction for this game. Hey there. Are you struggling with your prediction week in, week out and losing money? Let me tell you the solution. The solution is www.betensure.com. Go on to www.betensure.com right about now, register, and you will see predictions across all sports. If you want an expert assigned to you to help and guide you through making the right decision in predicting every day, yes, so you can subscribe to our packages. You can't get this anywhere. It can only be Bet Ensured. So, sign up on www.betensure.com right now. It's still the Ensure Zone podcast brought to you by Bet Ensure, the biggest and the most reliable sport prediction platform you can find anywhere in the world. Now to the rest of the games and the topics are from the English Premier League. Let's check them out. It it's not finished there, guys. We still have more. Of course, bonus picks from the Spanish La Liga and the Italian Serie A. It's all going down in those two leagues. Let's see them. Now, guys, to our 20 other weekend banker on 1x bet, specially created by experts. Let's see how we have lined them. Now, guys, before we say our byes, as usual, I really want to put Kaka on the spot. Kaka, Mo Salah is really a big guy in the English Premier League. But would you say Mo Salah is the biggest foreign player to ever play in the English Premier League over a Thierry Henry and a Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah, you successfully put me on the spot. Honestly, looking at the record, you really can't argue against the facts. Honestly, I'd still say no. Why? Because a lot of people suffer from recency bias. No disrespect to everything Mo Salah has achieved so far in the Premier League. You look at Cristiano Ronaldo and Thierry Henry's record. For me, Thierry Henry's it still remains when I think it was actually the first man that was introduced into the Hall of Fame. Cristiano Ronaldo is still the only player in the Premier League to have a Ballon d'Or.
Of course. I understand your sentiment. I understand where you're coming from. Then, if you look at Mo Salah, the record, the goals he has scored more goals than these two players.
He has, but at the end of the day, you look at Thierry. I think Thierry Henry laid the foundation.
Of course, he was big. He was a big guy. Looking at Mo Salah, if Mo Salah will still remain in the Premier League, he's bound to be bigger than these two players. And Mo Salah is still in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. We might say he's not in the Champions League,
not for me.
But then, if he keeps scoring, this season,
you don't win Ballon d'Or based off your league achievements. I don't think that has ever been done in any season. Kudos to him this season has been fantastic, but having the Premier League only to your name this season, I don't think that qualifies him. But coming into the question again, I still think Thierry Henry has the best legacy in the Premier League. I doubt he still stands above the rest.
Okay, he says Thierry Henry, but hey, I believe my African brother, the Pharaoh from Egypt, is really massive. So, Mo Salah, thumbs up. And this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on the podcast for this weekend. Of course, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and also put on the notification button. And to remind you, subscribe to www.betensure.com to get more interesting predictions across all sports. Kaka, I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast on this weekend.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
And then, guys, remember right here on the Ensure Zone podcast, we don't just predict the future, we assure it. Bye for now.